Hello guys, in this video you will be able to see how a thesis can be elaborated to then become an entire paragraph, ideal introduction paragraph. And so to begin with, let's just remind ourselves very quickly of what makes up a thesis. So the simple essence of a thesis would be to just have your position and then a quick explanation that supports your position. But like we saw towards the end of the last class, there's also a way to write a much more formal one. And in this much more formal one, you still write your position, which is your direct answer to the prompt. Um, but unlike the simple thesis, in this one you have one, two, three supporting reasons. And a reminder, the purpose of that is to help you create a very strong argument. And so, why should a thesis be part of an introduction, right? Why am I taking the time to first go over a thesis and then an introduction? So, like I explained before, a thesis will allow the reader to know what to focus on while reading your argument. So, this means that the reader will also be able to pay closer attention to the way in which you develop your argument. So, having that thesis there will, in general terms, help you get a higher grade because whoever's reading your essay, your text, will have a much better sense of what is your argument and will be able to pick up on your support a lot better than if you didn't have that clear sentence. And so a well-constructed thesis can and will help you to write your entire introduction paragraph. And by that I mean following this setup right here. And so to make this happen, the rest of the sentences in your paragraph can be explained to use your thesis. So that will be your focus, your thesis. You can write one sentence that explains each one of the supporting reasons in your thesis. And so what you will be able to do is write one sentence about this, one sentence about this second reason, and then another one about this third reason. And if you do that, in addition to writing a thesis, you will be able to complete an entire paragraph, which is what I'm trying to show you over on this screen. So how can a thesis help to write a paragraph? Just like explained in the last bullet point, you can explain each one of your supporting reasons with a sentence after you have written your thesis. And this will help you elaborate on your argument. And so in here you have two formats. First, a thesis format, and you guys have seen this before. I just went over it also. And then in here you have an introduction paragraph format. And so this is ideally what a paragraph would look like for you at the end of this lesson. So if you notice here, there's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sentences. And so the first sentence in this format will be your thesis, which would be this top part. Your second sentence will be an explanation for reason 1. So you're going to take this reason and write a sentence about it. Your sentence number 3 will be an explanation for your second reason. So just like with this one, you're going to take this topic and you're going to write about it. And last and after, you'll do a fourth sentence that is an explanation for this third reason. Lastly, just to add a fifth sentence that will conclude your paragraph, and that's just to make sure you do not end on a rough note. And once I show you the example, you will see that it doesn't have to be that difficult of a conclusion. Okay, and so right now I will go into an example that will hopefully be able to show you how to write a paragraph in this format. And you'll see that, again, as long as you have that strong central thesis, everything else will come together much easier. And so I'm grabbing this example from the last assignment and from this assignment that you're completing that you're using this video for. So this is from question 1. And we do have this prompt. Should eliminating cyberbullying currently be considered a priority for schools? Why or why not? And this is a thesis that I created last class and that I had already gone over with you. So at this point, I will just read it because I assume you already know how this was made. So eliminating cyberbullying should be considered a priority for schools because most students are impacted by it. It has probably grown during the last year and it impacts student performance in class. Okay? So this is my thesis. This is my central argument. Now I'm trying to turn this into a paragraph. And I can do it in this way. So if you look right here, this is my paragraph answer to the prompt. And I will show you two examples. The next example I will show you after this one is taking the opposite position. But to focus on this very first sentence is the thesis as I follow this format. So I just use this whole sentence and I put it at the very beginning. Then I took the first reason that I used to support my position, which is that most students are impacted by it, and I wrote an entire sentence. Okay, this explains that first reason. Then if I go back to my thesis, this is my second reason, that it has probably grown during the last year. And so this sentence right here writes about that, about my second reason. If I go back to my thesis, it impacts student performance in class. This is another reason. And the third one, the last one on this sentence. So if you look at my paragraph on the green, you can see I explained that reason. And I conclude with this sentence. So let me go ahead and read this entire paragraph so you can see what the end product looks like, and you'll see that this actually creates a pretty strong argument that is actually supported with your own words. So eliminating cyberbullying should be considered a priority for schools because most students are impacted by it. It has probably grown during the last year, and it impacts student performance in class. Most students in one way or another are impacted by cyberbullying because they are often on social media. Cyberbullying has probably grown during the last year as the pandemic increased screen time for teenagers. This has an impact on student performance in class because students do not participate due to fear of bullying. The impact of bullying is much more deeper than we realize. And so this is an entire paragraph that answers this prompt. Okay? And so let me go now into a second example, which would be the opposite position. All right, so I do not have the thesis for this one, at least not like this. I just included it into this paragraph. But you can access this one from the last assignment. Eliminating cyberbullying should not be considered a priority for schools because it is not the job of the school. There are more important issues, and you cannot control what happens on the internet. Okay, so here, it is not the job of the school. That is reason one. There are more important issues. That is supporting reason two. And you cannot control what happens on the internet. That is supporting reason three. Those are the three reasons that support why, in this argument, it is believed that cyberbullying is not a priority. And so these follow-up sentences in the blue, in the orange, and the green takes each one of those reasons and explains it with a sentence. Okay, and then I conclude with this last closing sentence. And so let me show you what the end product looks like. Eliminating cyberbullying should not be considered a priority for schools because it is not the job of the school. There are more important issues, and you cannot control what happens on the internet. It is not the job of schools to eliminate cyberbullying because this is an issue that should be resolved at home. Schools have more important issues to address, like making sure students can graduate and go to college. Lastly, since you cannot control what happens on the internet, there is no real solution for cyberbullying. Schools should consider solving other major issues before considering cyberbullying a priority. And that's it. So notice again how I make use of my thesis as my first sentence. And then I use this argument as the basis for my entire paragraph. So the better this thesis is, the easier it is to construct the entire paragraph. Okay? Um, and at this point, just focus on understanding this format. Do not worry so much about the accuracy of whatever you're writing. Just make sure that you can understand the steps you need to follow in order to do this. So you should have access to these slides, to these examples. And at this point, you will answer questions 2 and 3. So just go ahead and use whatever I explained in this video in the best way possible to help you answer those 2 questions. And hopefully you'll be able to also come up with a pretty solid paragraph.